Hey. So I wanted to go live today. I haven't been live in so long. It's been over a year since the last time I went live. And so wanted to get on here. I wanted to talk about keto weight loss and also talk about loose skin because people constantly ask me about loose skin. Ileka, how do I lose weight without getting loose skin? Like, how do you flatten your abs? All those things. And so I figured, why not do a quick chat and Q&A and just, see where we go from there. So I wanted to get on here and chat about that. So let's talk about keto weight loss and loose skin. All right. So if you don't know me, I'll quickly introduce myself. I'm Ileka. I'm a mom of four. They call me Keto Mommy Makeover. That's my name on Instagram. And I lost 120 pounds through the ketogenic diet, exercise, intermittent fasting, and mindset changes. And so I lost that 120 pounds, but I do not have a lot of loose skin. I always talk about there's a little bit, in the bottom of my belly, and that's because I had 4 C-sections, right? So having 4 C-sections, you have that little C-section pouch. But outside of that, I didn't really get a bunch of loose skin. And so I get a lot of questions on why that was, right? And so for me, a lot of that was mixing, the way that I do keto, which is not necessarily the way others do keto, which is, I manage my fats differently. I'm watching my calories, my caloric intake. I'm watching my protein. I'm doing my protein a little differently. And then also on top of that, I'm taking the time to I exercise, right? And so a lot of my videos, if you've seen any of my other videos, I show myself working out all the time. And it's not like I work out, 4 hours a day, but I definitely get a good workout in. I do fat burning workouts that are strategic to work the areas that I need. And so in doing that and in doing that throughout the process, you'll see that your weight loss is different. You lose inches, your muscle starts to tone. You start seeing your muscles come in and that toning happening. And so that's what happens with a lot of the clients and a lot of my clients and the ladies that I help because some of them had lost weight before and had a lot of loose skin, picked up the weight again. And now they're afraid about loose skin. And I'm like, first of all, two things. One, don't be afraid of loose skin. If you do have it, that's, it's whatever. I'd rather have loose skin than, have the ailments that come with, that we all know come with being overweight, right? The other thing is there are ways to lose weight and minimize the loose skin. One thing I say is that loose skin, you may have it, right? And I mean, there's so many different factors, right? Hereditary. Did your mom have loose skin when she had babies? All those different things, right? But on top of that, there's also the fact that, it's about how you work out. Like working out has a lot to do with how much loose skin you have. So like, think about that as you're losing the weight. Make sure make sure you're actually doing strength training workouts. If you don't have a trainer or you need a trainer, like reach out to someone who knows how to do that so that you're doing the right workouts for your specific body and situation, because that's going to be huge. Here, I'll look at this question. It says, how many meals did you eat per day? And if you did intermittent fasting, what time window would you suggest? So I did do intermittent fasting. I was saying. I would eat between 2 and 3 meals a day. Sometimes it'd be 2 meals and a snack. Sometimes it would be 3 meals, just depending on how I felt. Because remember, if I'm lifting weights and doing HIIT workouts and things like that the entire time, I'm hungry. I'm hungry more than most people who do keto because a lot of people aren't going as hard with their workouts when they do keto. And so they may find that they're not hungry, but your body needs that nourishment. Like we need to feed our muscles in order for our muscles to grow. And when I say grow, remember, we are, many of us are women. If you're a woman, your muscles are not going to grow to the point where you're like looking manly. You have to actually do something crazy to get that to happen. You have to do extra stuff to get that to happen. The muscles will grow to where it just tones. We need the muscle to burn the fat, right? And so you have to nourish your muscles in order to get that to happen. So that's how I ate. I ate between 2 and 3, really 2 meals and a snack or 3 meals a day. And that's how I still eat. And then the question is, what window? So when you're doing intermittent fasting, I always tell people this. I believe that the earlier you fast, the better you are. So, everyone always does this intermittent fasting thing. And this is the one you've all heard about. It's 12 to 8, right? I start eating at 12 p.m. I stop eating at 8 p.m. And that's everybody's intermittent fasting window, it seems. And so when you think about that, you got to think about what time you go to bed. Because the reason I'm saying this is you want to make sure that you're not eating and then going right to sleep, right? Because what that does is when we eat and go right to sleep, that can affect, our metabolism, and affects how, our body doesn't get a chance to process all the food while we're awake. You got a better chance of processing the food and burning things off if you're awake, if you eat earlier in the day. So I always say good, better, best, right? An ideal time for intermittent fasting, if you could do like an 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Is that right? 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. That would be amazing. Anyone who could do that as their intermittent fasting window, kudos to you, right? I will say, I know I'm not that person. I've never been able to be that person because 4 p.m. is just too early for me to cut off for eating, just mentally, I think. So I normally will do like an 11 to 7, but I always say the earlier the better. If you can do like a 8 to 4 or a 9 to 5 and that be your eating window, that would be ideal because now you have literally like 5 hours for your body to process the food you've eaten or burn off the food you've eaten even before you go to bed, right? And that's ideal because that's going to give you a chance to really, truly, go to bed and allow your body to get into autophagy faster and allow, excuse me, and allow it to work the way it needs to. And so that's why I actually suggest an earlier window for intermittent fasting. That said, it also depends on when you work out, because I also suggest working out earlier in the morning, because that's going to also help you. The early when we work out, and when I say early in the morning, I'm not talking about people who do night shift and things like that. I'm talking about you have a regular 9 to 5 job, or you're awake during the day normally and sleeping at night, right? That's your normal situation. So in those situations, I always suggest early morning workout, right? So good, better, best, right? So again, good would be, hey, if you're someone who wasn't working out at all and now you're getting off the couch and getting a workout in, that's good. Go for it. Do what you can do. Better would be, hey, I'm getting, a really good workout in, but I got to do it after work because I get up, I work too early, right? That's still better than, what you're doing before. Best ideal situation would be to work out early in the morning. So the first thing when you wake up, when I wake up, I drink 20 ounces of water and then I wait a few minutes, and then I get and I'll say this, I wait a few minutes and during that time, I'm doing my devotion, I'm doing my, giving grace, I'm doing those types of things. I'm taking some time and meditating, right? After that, that's when I get my workout in, and it's a fasted workout. So now I'm getting my fasted workout in, I'm going for that. And then after that, I go off and, I usually give myself still another hour to stay in that fat burning mode because I woke up, I'm in autophagy, gotten some water in, my body is still processing and moving, right? And now I've gotten a workout in, fat burning, fat burning, fat burning. I'm going to give myself some time to stay in that fat burning and then I'll eat. So I usually give myself another hour in that fat burning kind of mode, and then I'll eat my first meal, which is, for me, it's usually one of my shakes. You guys know how much I love my green shakes. Like I've got so many recipes about like the shakes that I drink. I mean, it's easy for me to mix up some vegan protein powder and some spinach and, collagen or, whatever it is I decide to put in hemp seeds, like that's simple for me. Usually some peanut butter or peanut butter powder and chocolate, right? That's what I'm putting in, right? So that's easy for me to mix up and drink and kind of keep going on my day. But a lot of people will do like eggs and things like that. You're welcome. I can't say your name. I'm sorry. I don't want to mess it up because people mess up my name all the time. But it's easy to, go and just, make a quick breakfast, have that. And then you're pretty much set for several hours. And then once you, your second meal, you could either do a snack, a few hours later. Like if I have my shake in the morning, I'm usually hungry or something for a snack around, about 2 to 3 hours later. And at that point, I might have a couple of eggs, or I might have a small meal, something like that. And then a few hours later, probably 4 or 5 hours later, I'll have dinner. So that's kind of like my shake, a snack, or some sort of like mini meal, and then dinner, and then I'm all set for the day. I don't do a lot of extra snacking because what I've realized is that when I'll go and like start snacking on like almonds or something like that, that's when things start getting out of hand because it's like those little triggers. And I've gotten to know my triggers, and that's something that I work with the ladies that I coach on, right? Is that those mindset changes, changing and managing and repairing that relationship with food. That's been a big part of what I do, and what I help people with. Because the thing is, the way I always say it is anyone can lose the weight, right? Anyone can give you the tools to lose the weight. What you're getting a meal plan, learning how to eat to macros or specific calories depending on how you eat, right? And then you're working out, right? You get a workout plan, boom, get it done, you lose weight, right? But most of those people gain the weight back. So what's going to keep the weight off is repairing the relationship with food. And that's something that we work on because it's so important. It's so important to repair a damaged relationship with food and change the mindset when it comes to food, exercise, and just healing of the body. And that is how you become successful long term. That is how you lose the weight and keep it off for good, right? Those changes is what finally worked, for me, honestly, in my process. I always say if you've never kind of watched any of my videos or you're new to my channel, I talk about this all the time. Like, I've been on diet since I was 8 years old. Okay. So, like, to go from that, and by the time I was like, I think I was like 23, I was over 300 pounds. So, that was going to happen, right? Being on diet sometime you're 8, it's not going to work, right? I'm damaging the relationship with food from the time I'm 8 years old, and really it was damaged even before then because our relationship with food becomes damaged like the day we're born. So I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but basically, so with that happening, I was over 300 pounds. I've tried every diet that's probably ever come out. Like, it's rare someone can name a diet that I hadn't tried. So for me, whenever I would try to lose weight, it was just one other thing. And of course, every time I tried something, I would lose a couple pounds, 10, 20, even 30 pounds sometimes, right? But I'd pick it right back up because nothing changed up here. So just getting into that and understanding how to change the mindset and how to repair that relationship with food is so important. That's like one of the main things I work on, that we work on, we talk about in the membership program, that I have, because it's like, it's so important. You've got to change the relationship with food. You've got to repair that relationship with food. Yes, Brandy, changing my mindset with food is definitely my number one goal. Yes, it is. And that's why we're doing this, right? Because we've got to change that relationship and repair that relationship in order to keep the weight off for good. And that's what we do here, right? So we've got a group of ladies working in my Keto Mommy Makeover membership program. And these ladies are seeing major changes and major results, right? Again, I'm going to give you the meal plans. I'm going to teach you how to do keto. I'm going to give you the workout plans and hold you accountable to all that, right? But what sets me apart, in my opinion, from other people out there, other trainers and coaches and YouTubers out there or whomever, is that I'm also, the main thing that we're focusing on is the mindset and really repairing the relationship with food, right? And of course, we're focusing on losing the weight while having less loose skin, because that's major, right? We want to reduce that loose skin. And I show folks how to do that. We've got to be lifting. We got to be, getting those fat burning workouts. We've got to be in autophagy. There's so many things that go on into that, right? But the mindset and changing that relationship with food is the main thing. So I want everyone to be healthy. That's one of my major goals, is as many people as possible to be healthy. And if you ever watch the videos on how I eat keto, it's a very healthy keto diet, right? So I do some fatty meats, but mostly like leaner meats. My fats usually come from things like avocado, oils, things like that, right? Hemp or chia, flaxseed, those things, right? And nuts and whatever, right? That's where my fats normally come from. So that so that I'm still able to, keep my body functioning, keeping it moving, and getting the healthy things and the nutrients that we need, right? And I'm eating tons and tons of vegetables, very clean keto, right? And so that, to me, that's kind of the best way to do it. It doesn't mean that if someone's doing it differently that it's wrong. It's just not the way that I prefer to do it. And it's the way that I do it, I know can help reduce loose skin, and I know can help change the mindset around food. So that's why it's so important to me to do it like this. So I wanted to get on here really quickly because I have not been live in so long, but I didn't want to stand here all day. But if anybody has any questions, I want to make sure I answered any questions that folks had, and I'm here for you. So definitely, if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can always send me a DM on my Instagram, Keto Mommy Makeover, or even on Facebook. It's Ileka Falette on Facebook. So you can always reach out to me. I'm here to help. I want everyone to get healthy. For me, it's so important. It's my passion. The one thing that I want is whenever I see someone who is on their journey, my main thought is I don't want you to be where I was. And I know how you feel because I've felt that way before. So I want to make sure that you can change too. What sparked your change? So what sparked my change, Brittany? It was, so I talk about this in my story a lot. It was my daughter, actually. So remember, I just said that when I see someone on their journey, I see myself a lot, and I know how that felt. I know how they feel. I know what they're going through. What I thought when I had my daughter, and when I take her to the doctor would always harp on, oh, she's ranging high in the percentile when it comes to weight, and they kept harping on her weight. Are you giving her this kind of milk? What are you doing? And I literally had deja vu from when the doctors would be saying that about me to my mom. And so I was like, I don't want my baby to go through this. Like I started thinking about her being 8 years old, walking in the cafeteria and people, yelling about how fat she is, and all those things that happened to me growing up. And I was darn sure I wasn't going to let that happen to my baby. So, and I didn't want to be putting her on diets and all that stuff. So I had to change. I had to change everything. So like we were already, I was already that person trying to eat organic and stuff, and trying to be a vegan and vegetarian. But here's the thing, right? If you're a vegetarian and vegan, or a vegetarian, I'll say, and you're eating pizza for dinner every night and brownies and all these different things because they don't have meat in it, that's not going to be healthy for you either, right? And that was me. I was that type of vegetarian. But I was like, it's time to make that change. Like, yeah, I'm getting organic noodles and organic brownies, but that's not going to make it any healthier, really, right? It just means that, things aren't as processed, but that's how I was. How she handled eating healthier foods. Okay, so yeah, so it was going back. Thank you. I'm glad you brought me back, Brittany, because I will go on a tangent sometimes. So I wanted to make sure that I changed everything for the whole family. So we all now eat healthier. And what I do, and one of the ways that I teach my clients is we don't have to create multiple meals for our family, right? Like, there is no rule that says kids have to be eating candy bars while the adults are eating, like, celery sticks with, like, that's not a thing. So what we did was, I would make a meal. Let's say I made, chicken and rice and broccoli, and I would eat the chicken and the broccoli, and the family would eat the chicken, rice, and broccoli. So I didn't change it that much, right? And so now when it came to my kids, right, because I have 4 of them, when it came to all my kids eating healthier, they began to get, at first it was a fight, right? Nope, you're going to eat your broccoli. You don't have to eat anything else on your plate, but you're going to eat your vegetables, right? First it was like a fight. And I had one son who would just stay at the table, but my daughter at the time, she was actually so young that it was normal for her to eat the vegetables. So it never really changed for her. Now, when my sisters and stuff come around and they want to, give the kids candy and things like that, the kids do want to have the candy, and we'll let them have it sometimes. We aren't going to say, oh, you're never going to have this. We'll let them have candy sometimes, and we'll let them have some things, but it's few and far between, and we don't use it as a reward. Like, that's the thing. I had to start thinking about those things that, you know, I had to really dig into the root cause of a damaged relationship with food, not just for me, but for others. And no, I don't have a lot of loose skin. And I'll talk about that. I'll get back to that in a second. I was talking about that at the beginning, but Madison, I'll get back to it in just a second. But the damaged relationship that people have with food, and sometimes goes back to different things, right? Reward system. So I remember as a kid, it was like, oh, if you eat this, I mean, if you do this, I'll give you some ice cream, you know? So now we're rewarding with food. And when we reward with food, what that's saying is food is a reward, right? So, wow, anything I do, I should celebrate by eating. And so now we've connected joy with food. And so, not necessarily hunger, but joy. And that is why, many people will eat whenever we're celebrating. We'll eat when we're sad. We eat through so many different emotions. And what that does, it takes us, it makes food, something that our go-to. It's something we soothe with, as opposed to being something that we use for fuel. And so we're trying to teach our kids that food is used for fuel. And yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't have other things, but it's not going to be your reward. I'm not going to say, if you clean up your room, I'll give you this candy bar. If we're somewhere and someone wants to have a candy bar, it's like, sure, you can have one today, but they always know that they're not going to get one tomorrow. Um, Let me see. I saw, do I have loose skin? So I don't have a lot of loose skin. I mentioned earlier, I had 4 C-sections, so I have like the bottom C-section belly thing. And the doctors, everyone, said that there's no way to even work that off. It's always going to kind of be there. So I would have to actually get that cut off. And one day I won't be scared to do it. So there's that. But outside of that, I don't have any loose skin. So I don't have any on my arms or my stomach. I show a lot of pictures and stuff of my stomach all the time. So I don't have it on my stomach except for that bottom area, which I don't love, but I don't hate. And here's the thing, I realized I can't hate it because that gave me my 4 babies. So I have to love every part of it. Let me see. I have a lot of loose skin under my chin and arms. So you can definitely change that. If you look on my Instagram, I show many of my clients, right? And I have a woman who, she was over 300 pounds. She, had loose skin, had chin issues, all that stuff, right? Extra chin, all that, right? And so what we did was we worked together to get the weight off, and the loose skin kind of went away. The skin worked with us, right? And the thing is, it depends on how you lose the weight, Renee. Unfortunately, when you lose weight a certain way, sometimes the fat is lost along with the muscle. The muscle is lost with the fat. And when that happens, your body is essentially losing the fat and the muscle. And so now there's not enough muscle to burn the fat. And so you end up with more loose skin, right? So I didn't have that because I made sure that I worked out the whole time. I have specific like fat burning workouts that I use, right? That include weights, that include anaerobic type workouts. I do so many, I put together these workouts. So I forgot to tell you guys, I became a personal trainer along this process. Personal trainer, certified keto coach, all those things, right? And so that's how I learned to do this throughout that process, because I didn't want the loose skin. Also, the way that I eat keto promotes less loose skin. So that's kind of the way that I do it. Let me see. My children are young. I'm hoping to create healthier habits for my family. Thank you for your wisdom. No problem. Definitely just, start getting them the vegetables and things earlier, and get rid of the reward system when it comes to food. Like, do not soothe with food. Do not celebrate with food. Like, get rid of that. Celebrate with other things. And that'll get them thinking that they can celebrate in other ways, instead of, "Ooh, yay, it's your birthday. Let's go to Red Lobster." How about, "Ooh, yay, it's your birthday. Let's go to Sky Zone," which is like a place where they do the trampoline jumping things, because what are we doing there? We're jumping on trampolines, whatever. And then, yeah, we're having dinner, but that's not necessarily what the celebration is. The celebration is we got to go jump on the trampolines, for your birthday. Congratulations, right? Like, that's fun for them. All right. So, how do you not get loose skin? Okay. I think I talked about that. Really, it's because of the way that I do keto, right? I eat very a clean keto, a very healthy keto, lots of vegetables, lots of nutrients, nourishing my body, nourishing my skin. I also drink a ton of water. So I drink 3 to 4 of these a day, right? And then the way that I exercise also incorporates why I didn't get the loose skin. Um, Let me see. You lost 75 pounds. Congratulations. And I know you mentioned you have some loose skin. I honestly, if you want, you can send me a DM and I can give you like more information on how I did it. How I help people who had either had weight loss surgery or, different things like that to lose the weight and have a lot of loose skin, how I help them get you know, to the point where they have as minimal loose skin as possible for future, because that's a big deal. Did you work out from day one? Yes. Yes, I worked out from the time I started. I actually started working out even before even before I started keto. So I started working out like not immediately, but I started working out and then I was like, oh, let me just try and cut my portions, right? So I started doing that. And then I stalled and I was like, well, I've heard about this keto thing and I had tried it before and, that sort of thing. So then I started going keto and I started doing it differently from what I'd seen all over Instagram and YouTube. I really did the research. I just posted a video last week about like how to start keto, like my top tips. And one of them is education. Like, I'll talk to people all the time who are like, "Oh yeah, I tried keto, it didn't work for me," or I was nauseous, or my doctor told me not to do it, whatever they say, right? And then and it's like, "Oh, well, how long did you try it, or what'd you do?" And when they tell me what they did, I'm like, "Sis, you didn't try keto. I don't know what you were doing." Like they're like, "Oh yeah, I was making all these fat bombs," or whatever it is that they're saying, and I'm like, "No, there's a certain way to do it to really see success." And if you really talk to people who saw major success, sustained success, you'll understand how we did it and why the weight came off and truly stayed off and looked right. Like there's a certain way to do it, and you gotta manage your fats. Like a lot of folks think that, oh, if you're doing keto, you can eat whatever you want in terms as much as you want, I should say. And that's just not true. And it's not sustainable. And no, you've got to still manage your caloric intake. You're getting a workout in. Like it's not just honestly, anything worth having like this is worth working for. So you want to work for it and you want to do it right so that you can truly see sustained success and be healthy and for the long run. Like you want to do it in the healthiest way possible. And so that's why I always say educate yourself. I even wrote a book on how to do keto, in a healthy way so that folks can understand how to do it and not feel like, oh man, I'm completely lost or whatever. It's so important. Let me see. At first I started out just cardio. That was my problem. Yeah. 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 When you're trying to reduce the loose skin, cardio is good, but that can't be the only thing you do, So I'll talk to a lot of women because I mostly help ladies. I've helped some guys, but it's funny. Like I always make this joke. It's a true story, but it's funny that I've helped thousands of women like lose weight with keto and fitness and intermittent fasting, right? And I've helped 4 guys, and one of them was my dad. So it's like I don't get a lot of guys, I guess, because my name is Keto Mom Makeover, but I don't get a lot of guys that come to me, for help with keto, right? When they do come to me, they do lose a considerable amount of weight and they do see major results, but I don't get a lot of guys. So I always say the ladies that I work with and I help, a lot of times when they come to me, they start off with, yeah, I exercise. I don't mind exercising. I walk 1.5 miles a day, or I walk 4 miles a day. And I'm like, that's good, but how are those miles going? Like, how are you walking? Because the thing is, I want to make sure that you're getting some anaerobic activity in there during that cardio. I also want to make sure that it's mixing up right in a certain way so that you're actually seeing fat burn. And then I also want to make sure that you're getting the strength training in there and the right strength training. You're hitting the right areas that you want to hit to see results, right? Because we all want to get rid of, what was under here, right? We also want to get rid of like the back fat, right? And we want to flatten our stomach. Like this is what women want, right? So if you want that, there's certain, like you have to get a specific workout that's geared toward you and your needs, and not just something that, is happening in group fitness or whatever, right? I always say you want to gear it toward you, or at least someone who's geared toward what women want to see and want to do, right? What you want. Like, to me, that's the most important piece. That's a huge piece. What made you refrain from loads of dairy? Oh, yeah. So for me, number one, I'm lactose intolerant. So I shouldn't have been having dairy from the beginning, right? But for whatever reason, I mean, I like dairy, so I was still doing it. This is a mess. Didn't realize how messy that was. I like dairy, so I was still eating it, right? Even though it would make my stomach bubble, right? But also on top of that, there's so many things that they do to dairy. And since you said loads of dairy, it sounds like you're not from the US. I don't think, I'm guessing. So they were dairy was not good for us in the US for a long time. I know it's gotten better over time. In the last couple of years, they've been putting some more restrictions on it, but for years it was just not great, right? They were, putting the things that they were doing to the cows that were making the milk. It just wasn't good. And then also we're finding in research, as folks research more and more, as you read studies, you're finding that the human body really shouldn't, like, humans are the only ones who are drinking somebody else's milk, another animal's milk. And it's not necessarily the best thing for us. So it's that sort of thing. And so as I'm reading on this and seeing, the hormones, the hormonal impact of dairy and things like that, that's what made me kind of refrain or stay away from a ton of dairy. I still have dairy though. It's not like I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to do it ever. I still do it, but I try not to do as much of it. So we do like almond milk, but we'll still have like cheese on when I make like the keto pizza, which is my favorite thing. Like that keto pizza, I actually make it as garlic bread now too, but it's my favorite thing. But when I make that, I still put, cream cheese in it and mozzarella cheese. So my dairy is usually, and I don't have it every day, but it's usually going to be cheese or yogurt. Like those are the two things that I have that are dairy, but it's not often. Oh, it has cow pus. Yeah, it has cow pus in it, and dairy causes breast cancer. Yeah. Oh, wait, it's health review. You can show it. Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly it. This is why we don't do a lot of dairy, right? Because it's just not good for us. When you did strength training, were you in caloric deficit? Because I don't understand how using weights helps if you can't build muscle. I was in a caloric deficit, but see, here's the thing, right? For me, I needed to be in a caloric deficit because of the fact that, again, when you do your macros, right, you're considering the workouts. So a caloric deficit for me would also consider the fact of how many calories I'm going to be burning when I work out, right? So you've got to consider all that in there. But yeah, you're still in a caloric deficit so that you can actually still lose weight and you're burning fat. So yeah, I was still in a caloric deficit while I was weight training. You have to be if you're trying to actually lose the weight while you're doing it, because that's the point, right? If you're trying to build muscle or maintain, you don't want to be in a caloric deficit. But remember, the nutrition is going to determine whether or not you're going to lose weight or lose, gain, or maintain, right? So if you want to lose, you're going to be in a caloric deficit. No matter what type of eating you do, right? You've got to be in caloric deficit. So you can still strength train in a caloric deficit because your body is going to be able to use what you have as well, right? But you're still feeding the muscle. So you're not in a drastic caloric deficit to where you're not feeding the muscle, right? So you're not eating 900 calories a day and then working out and burning 600 calories a day, because that would just be ridiculous. But what I do is I set up my macros so that they are in a way where I'm still eating enough and I'm getting a good amount of protein so that my body's getting the nourishment that it needs. All right. So I don't see any more questions. I've been on about 35 minutes. I'm not going to keep you guys all day or stay on here or it's day. Shoot, it's nighttime now. My watch, I left my watch somewhere, but I'm not going to be on here all night because I am sleepy and I have to get up at like 6:30 to get my workout in. So I'm so glad you guys joined me. This is my first live in the last year. I've not done a live in so long, but make sure you follow me on Instagram and also, Yeah, follow me on Instagram and also DM me if you have any questions and check out my membership group. You can go to my website and download my tips for major weight loss, right? So I've got that right on my website at lifehealthnow.com to get you started on your journey. It's so important. I always tell folks like get started, just start, right? That's the important part. Start, be consistent, don't give up, and get help if you need it, right? And like the accountability is key, and that's one of the things that I offer in my membership program is accountability. That's major. So, all right, I'll talk to y'all soon. Congratulations. I see you on there. Way to go. That's huge. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.